That is why it is with enormous pleasure that as the founder of Playtime Co., I announce Playcare, our very own on-site orphanage. A child should never be left unloved, never without a hand to hold when they see a monster in their closet. May Playcare bring joy, inspiration, and smiles to every child who enters these doors.
These definitely weren't employees' kids, because they would be transformed into toys, and parents would be ridiculously concerned that their kids went missing at the end of the day. So I think that's our story. We were adopted by the executives of Playtime Co. We saw children disappear, so we look for a way out, and we find it through these assembly line tunnels. I just want to say real quick, I totally called this! The kids in the game station weren't employees' children. They were orphans that were taken from Playtime Corporation themselves. That makes sense. How many posters do we see for the adoption program around the factory? And how many do we see for the game station? That's right, none. We don't even know what exists until we get to the floor with the game station. That means the areas were specifically for orphans, and the new trailer proves that. So, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I needed a break from theories after my What Remains of Edith Finch series, so I didn't post a theory last week, and I wasn't going to post this week, but the new Poppy Playtime trailer for Chapter 3 dropped a few days ago, and people are already theorizing what could possibly happen in this new chapter. So, I'm back for another video. Let's go ahead and start with analyzing the trailer as much as possible, and then I'll be sharing how I think this chapter is going to go down. So the trailer starts with the camera zoom past Huggy Wuggy and Mommy Longlegs, both characters already defeated in the first two chapters. I know a lot of people theorized when Chapter 2 came out that Huggy Wuggy being dragged by Mommy Longlegs meant that we aren't done with him yet. But now that both defeated villains are on the floor, I think that means that we're both done for good. At least as themselves. I do think the prototype might come into play with these toys still. We also see Bronzehead, which is the dinosaur we move on the weight-triggered pedestal to get out of the rejected toy ideas room in Chapter 2. We then pan out to a colorful gas mask surrounded by parts of other toys by Playtime Co. The CEO of Playtime Co. is talking in the background announcing Playcare, the new on-site Playtime Co. orphanage, followed by the sounds of cheering kids and then turning into screaming kids. We don't get much more information other than that next part of the game is set to release in 2023. That's a few months away, but I think we can predict the outcome of the game beforehand. Now in Chapter 2, before we pass out, there is a sign for Playcare that we can see at the end of the railroad tracks. Some people guessed that it was a daycare center, but now we know that it's an orphanage. And the fact that the game station train leads to the orphanage also shows that the testing areas were specifically for these kids and not used as a daycare center for the employees' kids. A lot of people are already also comparing the gas mask to the facial structure of Bron the dinosaur, but I don't think the mask has anything to do with Bron. I think it was just a design choice for a colorful gas mask that corresponds with the other colors we see everywhere else, red, blue, and yellow. Plus, this mask looks a lot like the gas mask style that we saw in the 1960s during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Time for an impromptu history lesson. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 marks the moment where the United States and the Soviet Union were closer than ever to break out in a full-on nuclear war. Throughout the 50s, the Soviet Union was gaining a lot of nuclear warfare that began to worry the U.S. citizens, sending many into a full scare. This is when nuclear bunkers and emergency gas masks became very popular items to have just in case a missile happened to come at any time. Schools were doing duck and cover drills at the time as well, being told that if a situation ever does rise at school, to duck and cover under your desk. So the design of the mask may really just be more of a point to date the establishment of the Playcare orphanage. Playtime Co. opened in the 1930s, Poppy Playtime was released in the 1950s, and then company would go to make toys at least as far as the 1990s from the information we have on the toys so far. Shout out to Game Theory for actually having a timeline of the toys. It was very helpful. So with that in mind, the design of the gas mask being the way it is makes way more sense from a timeline standpoint rather than an Easter egg of being chased by dinosaurs and doing a Jurassic Park Toy Story mashup. And I think instead of the gas mask being a nod to the next villain, it's a nod to what we're going to be equipped with in the next chapter. And I actually think the ending of chapter 2 was foreshadowing the events of chapter 3, a seemingly kind toy turning on us. And I believe this time the turnaround is going to be Kissy Missy. It's a popular idea that Kissy Missy is actually the one watching the orphans now. And if we go back to my theory that we were an orphan from Playtime Co., the other children would probably be close to our age as well, meaning that Kissy Missy would know exactly what to do with us, which is to take care of us. What if she's patrolling the factory to make sure no other monsters find the children and eat them? I think in this chapter, it's going to hit Kissy Missy that we don't belong here, and she's going to attack this time. And Poppy, for her own selfish reason, is going to prevent that from happening. If you saw my video about what's so special about the poppy flower, my theory was also the flower is really just putting the children to sleep and is used as pain relief during toy transformation. It has nothing to do with the actual transformation itself. What if the flower is introduced to the children before the gel mixture is added, and is being produced with a gas in the bedrooms? Then they can be taken away with no resistance and turned into the toys without ever knowing until the end. Maybe they don't just do it at night. Kids are passing out in their rooms randomly and other kids begin to get scared and start screaming. I think that is why there's a gas mask. Maybe it'll somehow even attach to the grab pack and detect the poppy gas. Plus, it would alter our sight a bit, leaving us more open for an attack from another toy. Or maybe it's left behind from a scientist who's going to help us rescue the kids that are still in the orphanage. Maybe it'll be more of a Sammy Lawrence situation where the former employee sees the toys almost like religious figures and starts feeding kids to them. But that's opening a whole other can of worms that we don't need to get into today. Speaking of the orphanage, the adoption program around the factory now is starting to make a lot more sense. That's all I'll say on it until chapter 3 officially comes out. Let's see what I get right and how I'll be altering my theory afterwards. What do you think? Do you think we'll be rescuing kids in this chapter? Do you think the gas mask represents something else? Let me know your thoughts about the trailer in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye!